Yeah, it's just having more of an expansion mindset to be like, there are more than one ways of doing something and you have to find which works for you. Because like you said, like our Western culture, it's like taking credit for all the shit that we didn't come up with. We're like just stealing it from all these cultures that actually have been practicing all this stuff for years, you know?
Welcome to the Conscious Leadership Podcast, where soulful entrepreneurship and holistic mind-body wellness meet to help you heal, discover your soul's purpose, and change the world. I'm your host, Gabby Ortega, entrepreneur, psychology expert, social media maven, and soulful leadership coach. And it's my mission to empower you into becoming the light leader you're meant to be. Each episode will be diving deep into topics that will help you gain personal mastery over your healing and mind-body wellness, while also giving you practical tips and tools to help you create, market, and scale a heart-centered business around your soul's purpose and life mission. Whether you're in the beginning of your self-awakening journey or a seasoned inner work god or goddess who's ready to step into their leadership as a soulpreneur, this is going to be your new favorite place to be. We know that you don't just want to feel happier and more fulfilled, but you want to deeply know yourself and powerfully step into your life's purpose while creating massive abundance around your mission. That's why I've created this podcast for you, the light leader of the next generation. Welcome home. I'm so glad you're here.
Hello.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi. How are you?
So good. I'm trying out this new tripod, which like legit is still kind of like funky trying to figure out. Okay, there we go. I think that's okay. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you. I know.
Amazing. Oh my God, we got like
live.
a couple people here. What's up?
It's hard to plan for.
You look amazing. Okay, let me like raise my volume. Okay. Hi, everybody. We're going to be talking about why we decided to jump away from all of our schooling and all of our traditional mental health training and therapy in that space, and dive into starting our own businesses and kind of deciding to take a different route than I think a lot of us do, and that many of us don't know are available to us as therapists and healers. Because it's something we talk about a lot, like in the Ignite container, and Rachel's a part of it, and she just graduated, and what a lot of the people in the container come from the traditional space, but have always felt like it was very limiting, or there were aspects of the system that were just like so intolerable and gross and icky, and I totally agree with that. Yeah, so first I'll just have you introduce yourself, but that's kind of what we're going to be talking about. So if you're in the clinical space, if you're a psychologist, if you're a therapist, if you're in school to become a therapist and you're questioning kind of what your next steps are, or you're feeling trapped by the clinical space and you feel like you're so much more, there's so much more available that you don't know where it is, but you know it's out there. This is definitely going to be a conversation that you want to take some notes and just hear from some people who have done it differently. So hi from Detroit. Amazing. Hello, Becky. Good to see you. Amazing. So Rachel, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your story, and just dive in, and we'll if you guys have questions, please ask them. Social worker from Massachusetts. What up? I literally, guys, like, we're just breaking y'all out. We're breaking you out, and we're getting you
like one by one.
So go ahead.
Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Rachel. So my journey kind of started from day one, just because my parents met in social work school. So it kind of just ran in the family, grew up with them being therapists. My brother then became a school psychologist, and it was kind of just like the natural expected path for me to go on was to go to grad school for social work, which I did. And I'm originally from New York, so I graduated in New York, and
where are my New Yorkers at?
Woo woo, New York. I actually went to college
years, and I'll still be like,
yeah. I also went to college in Massachusetts, so hello to our Massachusetts folks. I actually went to a college where we had a statue of Freud. It was like all about psychology, so that also kind of contributed to the whole path.
I wish I had a statue of Freud at school. I think I would have been like, what is that?
I know, everyone like took pictures of him. It was a big thing because he lectured at my university, Clark, like back in the day.
Well, that makes sense. It wasn't just like because they loved him.
Right, exactly. So I went to grad school. I enjoyed my program, and then as soon as I got into the field, that's when I had like a 7-year journey of just kind of hopping around from job to job, just trying to find one that I like could even see potential of landing in. Because I found throughout all the different jobs that I was at, it was the same issues over and over. It truly reminded me of like when you just date the same type of person over and over, and it's like, when are you going to learn your lesson? That maybe you should break this
like
pattern.
there aren't any better choices.
Yes.
Which is like,
Exactly. So this felt truly like my relationship with the mental health field and like therapy world truly felt like this never ending like toxic relationship where I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this out and see if it's better. No, okay, same issues, let me try another one. And it just felt like, okay, when is this going to end? And so my plan all along had just been to, you know, get my license, be able to open up a private practice and do therapy. And that way I wouldn't have to deal with all of like the management issues and just, it was all just about like billing purposes. It was never about the client's care, and it was never about protecting like our self-care as clinicians. And so it was the same theme over and over of like, we would be overworked, underpaid, undervalued. And it just led to burnout like super quickly, and had just a number of horrible abusive bosses, like just really bad experiences. So
which is interesting because like, you know, I forget who it was. I think I was talking to Amber about this in the podcast we just recorded, how even in the therapy space, in the social work space, in the space of like healing in like that kind of clinical system, none of the healers, or at least like a majority of the healers and people involved don't have the capacity or like finances or time, or don't even know like how to give themselves the healing that they need. And so it ends up being quite a traumatic work environment if you work in some of those like mental health clinics and hospitals and things like that. It just like the bureaucracy and the unhealedness in leadership positions is really, it shook me because I went from school to like the real world, quote unquote, and then working as a therapist. And it was, it was like a whole different experience than my my time in school. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I think it was the irony of it was that all of the people that were making decisions about my clients were the people that were not actually working with my clients or actually therapists at all. It was just like upper management, and there was such a kind of like hierarchy, and it's like, you know, there was no sense of like empowerment for therapists to be able to advocate for their clients and actually trust that we're the ones working with the clients. We have the relationship with them. Like, we should have some say in their care, and they should have some say in their care. And just the traumatization of like not only the clients, but also us not feeling protected and being able to better serve. And I could go on and on. It's a whole thing, but
it is really ironic. Someone said it is really ironic, like the fact that like we're as therapists, like we're like, okay, like we're trained to go out and heal, and you have all these great tools, and you like probably stepped into the space because you're a self healer too. Because most therapists and clinicians and social workers, like we don't go into this like necessarily because we had like the most amazing life. It's either you have family and it's like a family legacy and it's something you go into, and or we've experienced our own stuff, which we've all experienced our own stuff, you know. But being in that space can be really like toxic sometimes.
It's
let's see, Becky said something. Hold on, wait, I want to read this comment real fast and then we'll jump back in. But Becky said, sometimes I regret not going through traditional method, but I'm thankful I didn't now.
You save time and money. No regrets.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, seriously, if that's like what we can get across is like, if you were questioning that, you made the right decision. But yeah, it is truly ironic. It's, you know, I remember like even trying to take a mental health day, and it's like, oh, we don't do that. I'm like, but you're a mental health clinic. Like, do you not believe in mental health?
It applies to everyone except us.
Yeah, it's very.
Or you're seen as unstable, which is the other thing. There's like a shaming around if you're a professional therapist, psychologist, social worker, clinician of any kind, and you're in that field and you're helping people, that you yourself shouldn't be needing help. You shouldn't be needing support. You shouldn't be needing time off, because if that's the case, then you're not equipped to be able to handle the pressures of the job, which is like, wow, like
so backwards.
We don't tell our clients that. Like, why would it be any different for us? You know?
Yeah, totally. I'll never forget. That just reminded me of when I was working in my last job in New York. And I had like a 6 month, they had a very long probation period. And I remember I was coming up to the 6 months, and in supervision and what was supposed to be like a safe space, I had disclosed, my supervisor was checking in with me of like, how are you feeling? Because you're getting a lot of new clients all at once and you're learning the new HR system, like all this stuff. And I said the word overwhelmed. And then she then brought that to our director, and then they extended my probation because they said, they wrote in a letter, the expectation should be that you can see like 30 plus clients and you're at this, which was less than 30, and you're feeling overwhelmed. And so now we're extending, like, basically punishing.
Let me just like pause this for a second, because that's bullshit. That's crazy. Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, I'm not surprised. This happens all the time. I've seen it happen to colleagues of mine, friends of mine, myself. But it's just like what? Like, how is that okay? And I don't know. It's just, it blows my mind sometimes. And Becky was saying, like, we're human. Like, yes, we're human. Like, how can we possibly serve our clients? Oh, and the other thing I want to say was, most people don't know this. Your therapist is checked out because your therapist is seeing 40 to 50 clients a week.
Yeah.
I want you to sit with that. Like,
unethical.
Your therapist doesn't just see you. Your therapist sees a lot of other clients, probably, and holds a lot of space. And at the end of the day, they can't pay their bills. I want you to think about how messed up that is for your healers to be in a space where you're giving them $25 because that's your copay, and mental health should be free. Like, let's just all say what we wish it could be, because it's health, right? It's like, it's our right to know these things. But the way that the system is built, it doesn't support anybody, because the healers are burnt out, nobody's taken care of, the clients end up not getting taken care of. And it's all just like, it's bonkers to me, because when I learned all of this stuff, I was just like, how has this been functioning for such a long time? To have 30 to 40 to 50 clients, a week, you guys.
A week, yes.
Imagine that. And that's client hours. That's not even the amount of hours that we have to do notes.
Paperwork.
We have meetings that are bullshit. Like, these things that just like don't serve the clients at all. Like, it's just, I mean, some supervisors are great. I won't say that. But a lot of it is bureaucracy for no reason, for insurance and for other things, but like, it's not serving anybody. So we end up working about 80 to 90 hours a week, all said and done. And what point do you get to be with your partner, or go have fun, or take care of yourself, sleep more than 5 hours a night? I mean, it's really, I agree. Healers are 100% invaluable. Kristen, thank you. Yeah, all of this is so important.
Yeah.
I am like, the reason that you and I stepped out is because all of this, we saw that and we decided like it was not going to be for us. Like, I know for me, I started to go on a healing journey more towards when I was like in the beginning stages of seeing clients, towards the end of my schooling, and I couldn't even tolerate at a certain point going to work anymore, going to the clinic that I was working at. It was so, I could see the toxic shit happening in front of me, the abusive environment, the gaslighting, the power dynamics. And then I'm sitting and trying to like serve clients, and my nervous system is completely erect. Like, my trauma systems are all flared up, like, and no one cares to be like, take some time, or like, let's like actually be human about this.
Totally. I remember like walking the halls with my nervous system so activated, just like back to back to back, where my brain was so fried that I'm like, I was mixing up details of different clients. Like, this person said they had a grandpa in Florida, and then I'd be like, oh, how's your grandpa in Florida? And the client would be like, I don't have a grandpa in Florida. Like those little details, because your brain is so fried, so overwhelmed, and there's like no one to actually talk to about it, except if you have like a minute to talk to your coworkers. That was like my savior. It was just like having coworkers that felt the same, but then they're all too busy to actually talk about anything. So it truly is just, Allie said.
Oh, Allie. Hey, girl.
We're all same. PTSD.
Sorry if I should say trigger warning to all people who are in the system.
Yeah.
Oh, Kelly said, this is also true. I'm a psych nurse, and it absolutely is scary how toxic the system is. Just quit my job last week. Hell yeah, Kelly, way to go. It's like the scariest thing, you know, to go against.
But it's so worth it.
When everybody tells you you should be doing, so fuck yes.
Yes.
Really putting yourself first. And that's where honestly like Ignite was created from, and like what you've experienced in the program, and what we're like, why we're enrolling now and why we keep it going, because like these are not the systems of the new paradigm. These aren't the systems that we need to continue feeding into. We can build new ones that are better, more efficient, help more people.
Yeah.
There's absolutely a place for therapy. There's absolutely a place for coaching. There's absolutely a place for medication. And then for holistic practices, there's a way to do it all so that everyone's bio individuality can be honored and respected, and people's choices can be respected, like they can choose for themselves, right?
Yeah.
But if the clinicians are being abused, and then how are the clients going to be served? Because the bottom line is never about the clients, it's never about the healing, it's just about upholding and maintaining the machine and how it's run. And what we can do is we can actually, I tell everybody who joins like the program or who I work with, it's almost like there's a big fun club, and like everybody's like outside is bumping. There's like a long line around the block. I don't know if you've ever been to the city. If you guys have ever lived in a city, like, and you've been young and you've gone out.
Sounds like a New York Saturday night.
New York Saturday night, LA Saturday night, Hollywood Boulevard. You know, you're like waiting that 3-hour line to get in. The bouncer's like checking everybody. It's a hot party. And that party was to me like where everybody's getting paid, and I don't know, you could afford like a house, I guess. Like, it wasn't a lot. Like I wasn't asking for a lot.
Like what a concept.
Can I not just starve, and like can I just like afford like to get a massage once in a while, or to even get my own therapy? That would be nice.
Yeah, I remember we would like sometimes be forced to eat during session, which is like totally not fair to the client. But I'm like, I have not had a second to eat because during my lunch break I had to do like 5,000 treatment plans, deal with like, you know, 3 crises. Like there are just not enough hours in the day for the amount that was expected of us. It was truly insane.
Yeah, no, it's insane. So like there's the line, right? There's a line to get into the club. The line is going to school. It's like doing your work. It's paying money to get supervised, and to guys, when you're an intern, if you don't know this, you have to pay to like get interned. Like you don't actually get
to pay to be
therapy. But like also, I was like, how am I going to pay rent? I have a master's degree, and you want me to work for free and do like 80 hours work for free? How?
Yeah.
How? That's such a privileged position to be. Either you have a rich family, you have connections, you have a rich husband, wife, like them, there, whoever, but like partner. Yeah. But like either way, I don't know anybody, myself included, who could have done that for free for 2 or 3 years while getting like,
I can't wait to be in the position where I'm like making enough to be able to volunteer my hours like that. But when you're first starting, it's like, how the hell do you expect us to do anything and survive?
I totally
really mind-blowing.
But it's funny because like when we first get into it, we're like so idealistic, and then we just, I feel like, get flattened out and burnt out and like burn it all down. I totally fucking agree with you, Allie.
Yes.
But like, and it's really true though. And then the other part of the metaphor, I guess, for the club metaphor, going back to that, was just that like, I feel like I accidentally a few years ago found this like side door that no one knew about, and I was like kind of like,
you're like, where am I?
Where am I? Does anybody else see this door? Like, why isn't there a line?
Like, guys, come this way. Come this way. Found a shorter way.
Come this way. And it was coaching, and it was like the online space, and it was coaching, and it was like the perfect time. And I had just gone on. I didn't even plan on coaching, but I literally started my Instagram. If you guys have been with me a hot minute, it was an accident. It blew up. I was talking about trauma. I was talking about stuff I was learning, doing as a therapist for myself, for my clients. And then people wanted to work with me, and then that's how it grew. And then from there, I found that there's actually this really new, really incredible space that if you are a ethical, self-responsible person, and you are really dedicated to your alignment work and making sure you're showing up in a way that supports the greatest good of all humans, and you're doing your own work, like, there's a space for you where you can be fucking abundant as hell and limitless.
And aligned.
And aligned.
So aligned.
It's just, it feels so good. And that really was kind of finding this online space, and then recognizing that the coaching space is a beautiful space to utilize a lot of the skills that we have as therapists, but with a different clientele and in a different way, and then be able to do both, but also be able to do something on our terms, and also
still be ourselves. Like
be ourselves.
Be ourselves. Like not be molded into this like robot that's not supposed to be human, and like shamed if you are expressing human emotions. Like, yeah, that's the best part. It just feels like you can truly show up as yourself. And not only are you like accepted, you're actually valued because you're not being like shut down into this like limited, you know, scared version. Like I remember like feeling scared, like, oh, are they going to find out that I, you know, like, you know, I don't know, whatever, did that. There was no like freedom to be creative in session. There was no, like, nothing.
I would come up with the most awesome treatment plans for my clients. And I'm not even kidding you. Like, I was doing more research and work, and I was more up to date on everything going on in terms of like neuroscience and holistic science and gut science and all of these different areas where I was like parapsychology, spiritual psychology, meditation, like it was insanity, quantum physics. And I was like going into my mental health clinic, like, for supervision with my 95-year-old supervisor who I don't think read a book in like 50 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, so this person has complex trauma. She's like, that's not in the DSM. I'm like, oh my God, there's so much research. Please, what? And then I was like, tell her what I'm doing. And she was like, no, what I want you to do is just like reflect back to them what they're saying to you. I'm like, that's not going to help.
That's not good. Yes. This is the problem with therapy. So you get to the basics, right? Reflecting back, creating a safe space, building rapport, connecting, all of that good stuff. That is, of course, extremely important. But it's almost like you get these building blocks down, and then you want to take the client in their healing the next step, and then everyone freaks out. They're like, oh no, like, you got to keep doing this. Like dictating their treatment. And I'm like, they've got the building blocks down. Like, we have a great relationship. They feel safe. I'm reflecting back. I'm doing all those listening skills, and I have a lot more to give them, you know? And I feel like they
literally tie our hands behind our back and they're like, work that way. And it's insane because the system hasn't caught up with the research. And this is one of the biggest problems in the clinical world, in the traditional kind of mental health and medicine space too. It's such a slow moving machine that is driven by politics and bureaucracy that so much of it takes forever to change. You know, transgender was in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, the last version, as a mental illness. It wasn't taken out as a mental illness.
And that's what they wanted to follow.
Until the 2000s, I believe.
Right.
I mean, like there's things in there. CPTSD, complex trauma, is not a diagnosis. How is that not a diagnosis?
Right. Like, and these are the things that we're teaching the people that are supposed to be teaching us. And then it's all backwards because it's like, wait, how am I ever supposed to actually grow and learn if I'm the one telling you what, you know, these like basic things are, or just, you know, you're using very outdated stuff that's actually harmful to the client.
Yeah, that's actually harmful. That was the other thing, was like being told to do things that were like I knew were not going to be good for my client, and I didn't do them. Like, I'm not, no. I was like, okay. And I was like, no, I'm still going to do what I'm doing.
Right, you're put in a position
thanks
where
for
you have
the
to
bad
choose.
mom. She's such a, my mom is like the most best supporter. Thanks for the bad mom. She's so dope. My mom's a psychologist. She's still in the system, but it's okay. She's doing her work.
My dad is too. If he watches this, he'll be like, My dad is supposed to be retired, and he's still seeing 10 clients a day by choice.
I hate to blow you up, Mom. I know you're watching, but my mom sees about like 8 to 10 clients a day as well. I'm like, how?
I'm like, Dad, this is supposed to be your retirement. Like, you're working harder than you ever worked before. And he just like, I think he half loves it, but also is just like used to seeing that many people. Like, it doesn't faze him anymore.
It doesn't faze at all. Like, it's just part of it. You get used to it. Becky said, there's so much info finally being proven in research. Anything can be medicine, and healing depends on the person. Yep, 100%. I appreciate that. So if so many experiences like you're mentioning, yeah, totally. And if you guys are clinicians, or if you're like anybody who's in that space right now, or you're in school and you're like, oh my God, I paid so much money for my degree. I just invested so much time in making this shit work. Like, I hate it. I'm burning out. I feel like there are no options. I felt like that. I'm sure you felt like that. Like, so what did you do? When you realized that like wasn't for you, what happened next?
Well, then I found you.
I feel like nobody like found other. I mean, like I feel like you awakened. I did
a little bit. You were like maybe the last part that kind of like then helped me actually get out of all of it. But yeah, I mean, my plan was, okay, I'm going to do private practice, so at least I'm my own boss. I might, I don't have to work for these horrible people anymore. But something about it still felt very like lonely and isolating and still limiting. I was like, I still feel like I want more. I don't want to just do like one-on-one, burning myself out, like having to see 10 clients a day just to be able to afford my rent. So I quit both my jobs and was like, okay, what do I do now? And it was actually Amanda Francis's money mindset course that I was in that I met one of your friends, and I posted because I had heard, about coaching, but I truly didn't understand what it was or how it was different from therapy. And to be honest, a lot of my therapy friends, like, there's like a lot of stigma against coaching too, because a lot of my therapy friends were like, I'm not a healer. I went to school to learn science, and this is how I'm like, just a lot of limiting beliefs, because I think that's how we're like almost brainwashed in the system of like, this is the way to do it. And if you want to be a healer and if you want to help people, like, you follow these steps and you do X, Y, Z, and then these are your options, even though they feel very limiting. And so I just started to learn more about coaching. And this was before I had found you. Like, I was just talking to people of like, okay, I'm almost done with my hours. I'm almost done with my licensing exam. What do I now want to do with this? Because private practice still doesn't make me wake up and feel excited to like go about my day. So I started talking to more and more people, and then it was like this whole, like, back to the club metaphor, it felt like there was this like whole arena, like this huge door of the stadium that opened up, and it was like,
it's like, oh shit. Like, it truly feels like an accident, and it truly feels like so awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, how has this been like hiding this? How have I not known about this whole world for so long? And I truly, there's no like education about it. So I'm like, if these are the skills I have and this is what I want to do, then this is the way to do it. But no one tells you like, oh, you can actually skip, all the student loans, you can skip all the degrees, you can skip all the licensing exams, and actually, use the skills that you have. And of course, like, go to a training. Like, if the education part is important, that's fine too. Like, I'm glad that
you can do, like, I think what we're really seeing now with technology and with different learning formats and different, like people jumping out of the system and kind of taking teachings on their own, is that we can really curate for ourselves a really thorough education around, like, with different smaller programs and certifications, and we can always get those extra things, but you don't have to go through the one door. Right. That one door that's like higher education, master's degree, doctoral degree, licensure. There's actually other ways to be a healer and to show up in that space. That's just like a sidestep from where you thought you had to go if it doesn't actually resonate with you.
Totally, yeah. We have a question here about what do you guys think of folks who are coaching without psych training? The stigma comes from folks giving bad uninformed advice.
Yeah,
totally. And that's the ironic thing, is that's also in the therapy field. Like, I went to grad school with a lot of therapists that I'm like, I don't know, you can get all the education in the world, but I don't know if it was the right fit for them. And then there are coaches that haven't done the formal education, and they just from like their own training and their own experience are even like more knowledgeable about it. So I think it's all about doing it in a very ethical way where you're not advertising yourself as a trained therapist. If you're not a trained therapist, you're not advertising yourself as a trained expert in trauma if that's not your jam. But if you've had, a certain life experience, and you have gone on your own like healing journey, or you've done your own education or whatever it is, and you feel like you can offer some skills that either come innately and or combined with like your training and stuff, then it's like, what a waste to not use those because we have a system telling us you can't do it that way. So I think, of course, there are coaches that give the field a bad rep because they are, maybe out of their scope of, practice.
Which happens again in in all fields.
Pretty much all fields.
You have to remember that. Yeah, like it is, and I like the point that it's like you have to be really self-responsible in any setting. Like it really relies on you at being like, okay, where do I feel my zone of genius is? What do I know? Where have I played? How do I, what have I done on myself? What have I worked on with other people? And of course, we don't want anybody going out there and giving any kind of, psychological advice without having any psychological training.
Right.
100%. So, yeah, definitely. I love that. That was a great answer to that. And, we also had another comment that said, I'm studying mental health now, Mon Felton. And I'm studying mental health right now and then moving into studying drug and alcohol. Cool, but I still feel like I don't have the right qualifications to help. Well, let me just also say, you guys, helping, giving advice, supporting, holding space, validating, mirroring, these basic things are not monopolized by therapists. Therapists do not have a monopoly on healing. And I want to really drive home also a very important point, you guys, that this Western modality of healing and the way that we approach it erases all kinds of medicine healing, indigenous healing, culturally relevant healing modalities that come from, different places and different tribes. And it really tells us there's one way of doing things, and that is not the truth.
Right.
And there are many kinds of healers and many ways to approach healing. And if you even look at your own line and your bloodline and where you come from, guaranteed there's some intuitive healing in there as well, intuitive healers that have been in your line. And that's why we come to this space to get validated by the system, but really you've had it in you the whole time. Chances are, if you're a therapist or you're a coach or you're whoever in the healing space, you've done it, or you've been doing the same thing for people for free for your entire life, because it comes naturally to you, right? Exactly. Friends, family, all of that.
That's how my dad told me, I really want you to become a therapist, because he would hear me in high school on the phone with my friends. I was always the friend that people came to talk to, and it's I already had these skills within me. And sure, the education, the degree helped build upon that, but it wasn't the only way. And I think I could have just as well had that education and then afterwards maybe skipped the 7 years of abuse, but no regrets. I learned a lot, yada yada, whatever. But yeah, it's just having more of an expansion mindset to be there are more than one ways of doing something, and you have to find which works for you. Because like you said, our Western culture, it's taking credit for all the shit that we didn't come up with. We're just stealing it from all these cultures that actually have been practicing all this stuff for years,
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm getting more into using my mediumship and clairsentience and things that psychic stuff that I've been working on, because for a long time I denied that I was had that gift, or I had this connection. And much later on, actually in the last 5 years, I found out that I have all of this shamanic blood in my body, and I'm oh, that's why I was 5 years old and talking to spirits in my room, and my mom would walk in and I'd be oh, so this and that, and my mom's you are stop all of this right now.
Do you just have an imaginary friend? Who are you talking to in there?
No, but it's really and in this space, in this coaching space, it's unregulated is a phrase that gets thrown around a lot, and here's what I'll say about that. It's unregulated could be a good or a bad thing. It's a bad thing because you get people who are, it's what you make it. You get people who are jumping into the space who are absolutely practicing things they should not, who are selling things that they're master salesmen who don't know what the fuck they're doing as practitioners. 100%. Use your discernment. Ask your practitioners where they train, how long they've been working, how many clients they've worked with in this way. If they have experience with your specific stuff, if they know how to work with clients like you, ask them. Really vet these people. At the same time, I can't tell you how many times I've had coaching clients who jumped in after being in therapy for upwards of 20 years and would tell me of the unethical, horrific experiences they had with licensed clinicians who hid behind their license because everyone assumes if you have a license, you're ethical. Also not the case, you guys.
No.
Please, also not the case. I've had pretty terrible therapists. I've had great therapists. You could have a terrible coach. You could have a great coach. Again, it comes down to the human being behind the brand, behind the coach or the therapist, asking them, do you do your own work every day?
Yeah.
Are you working through your own shit so that you're not bringing it into the room with you when you work with me?
Right.
You know, and again, what are your credentials? Where have you trained? And it doesn't mean they need to have a doctoral degree or a master's degree, but they need to have studied somewhere. They need to have some kind of background. They need to be doing some kind of work on themselves. And that's how you discern. So it's not about who has a license, who doesn't have a license, who has a degree, who doesn't have a degree, who's a coach, who's not a coach, what does that mean? It's like, who is the human being? And are you going to stay ethical in the work that you do? And if so, then this space is for you. And we need you in this unregulated space because you're a good person and you're going to, you know, do good things.
Right, because either extreme is not, you know, always helpful. It's like the extreme of like heavy regulation. We already know the downsides of that. We already know the harm that that can cause and the limitations that that puts on our clients and ourselves. And then unregulated in terms of like not using your judgment or not, you know, getting to know the person that you're about to hire, right? That's also can be unhelpful too. So like you said, it's just using your judgment, your discernment, and actually keeping an open mind that, you know, people, I mean, even people, I can't even tell you how many times within the therapy field, people would be practicing out of their scope. And even as a clinician, I was asked to practice out of my scope just because I had the license and the degree. I was asked to work with people, like, for example, in my last job, I have no training, no experience, kids with Down syndrome. I was assigned a kid with Down syndrome. I voiced my concerns to my administration and said, you know, I don't feel like I have the right experience, the right supervisor to it would be one thing if maybe she was an expert in this, but no, none of us knew how to help this poor kid. And so not only was it, you know, unhelpful for him, I mean, I did the best I could, but still, it's like even within the field.
Well, you're not it's like someone who's, you know, a heart surgeon going in and they're like, okay, we're going to need you to do knee surgery today. And they're like, that's not my specialty. I don't know why you make me do this.
It's a huge field. So it's like, you can't just, that was such a common experience that I had where just because you have those letters behind her, oh, Rachel can see this person. She can do this. She can do that. And I'm like, whoa, this field is huge.
And then it puts us in a position of like having to be unethical because they're forcing us to. We're like, hey, I don't feel comfortable. This is out of our, and they're like, do you want to be fired? And you're like, no. So I guess I will. And then you could actually end up like, not you, but like, we could traumatize these people from such a terrible experience. So if you've been on the other end and you have a therapist who just did not fucking understand you, didn't get you, if you're neurodivergent, I am, you know, it's like it's a terrible experience and you'll never go back again. And then that does not serve anybody when we have those experiences and that like scar us. And then as a clinician, it takes away your sense of like self, you know, sovereignty as a healer because you're being told to do something that you do not feel good about. So, you know, as we wrap up, because I do have a wonderful client I get to see again, she's coming back at 5. You know, I want you guys to really think about what you're doing. If you are in a space where you're feeling this way, if anything that we said resonated with you, if you're feeling like you're a healer and you've been kind of put into a box, you know, I've had terrible therapists too, Anxious Hearts Guide. Yeah, I totally see you. So, you know, if you're really somebody who wants to step into this space where you can spread healing across the world through the online space, because we have access to so many more people, we create a platform for leadership, we can show up differently in our authenticity, we can share ourselves and really walk the walk and show people how it's fucking done. Really like do it. Take the jump, go find a business coach that understands, like, you know, whether it's me and Ignite or whether whoever, if it's Amanda Francis, if that speaks to you, whoever speaks to you, like go
find your people.
Learn. Go because if you know how to heal, everything else is easy. And what we need now is a global healing revolution. I think everybody feels this paradigm shift happening. We're ascending into a different era of humanity. We are closing in on the darkness and the old systems and that toxic, self-destructive stuff that we've been doing for thousands of years, and we're moving towards healing and light. But with that means that we need light workers, and we need as many of you who are healers of all kinds to step into this space, claim your leadership and your healing mission for whoever it is going to be, and step into it. So please give yourself the permission to step away from the system if it doesn't work for you. If you are happy though, and this is like working, please, like, God, God bless, keep going. Like, we need healers everywhere, please. But if it speaks to you, what we've done, Rachel's now started her own coaching business. It's fantastic business. She does amazing work. If you guys are looking for support, go check her out, or even just to talk to her about her experiences moving into this space. She does such great work with her clients, and now you don't have to be tied by the
way more ethical work too. Like, way more aligned work. So. Totally worth the leap for anyone who's thinking about it. And if you're thinking about Gabby's program, I swear to God, I almost broke down in tears during our discovery call, because again, she opened me up to this world, and I was like, oh my God, there's a way out. I can still use my skills. I can be me, and I can like not be burnt the fuck out. Like, holy shit, sign me up. I swear it was like a life-changing call. So definitely.
I'm so glad you joined. And I'm so glad you're no longer working in a space. You have your business. You have your
feel free.
Yes, and you love the people you work with. You get to wake up every day feeling like, damn, I get to like make my own day. And if I want to go walk, do that, I can do that. If I want to like have a client, I can have a client. And watching your growth has been just like the best.
Thank you so much for everything. Seriously, it's been a game changer.
Yeah, anytime, and I do see my mission, y'all, as just supporting you guys and finding your way, because the world needs you. There is no such thing as saturation in the healing space. Like, it's so individual. It's like dating. You have to find that person who really you jam with, and like that means that we need a lot of people out there so that everybody can find their healers and their people. So
only one you in the whole world, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like, we need this stuff to happen fast, because like everybody's awakening and no one knows what the fuck to do, so we need you guys guiding. But yeah, we're enrolling for the 5th round. Rachel just is wrapping up this week the 4th round of Ignite. We start in September, so if you guys are interested in stepping into that and learning all the ways to get into that side door in an ethical, aligned way, like, do it. Definitely DM me, let me know. There's also a link in my bio to check out our long ass descriptive page that tells you all the details. And I'm just really just so happy to know you, Rachel, and I'm really excited
thank you so
working with you and collaborating, and thank you for being here today.
Of course, thanks for having me. Thanks for everything, and I can't wait to do this again. This was so fun.
Yes, we'll have these like lives where it's just like the burn it down lives.
Yes, burn it down.
All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. You're so welcome, Jasmine. Keep going, you guys, and the healing revolution is upon us. You're with us and your family, so we love you, and we'll see you guys soon.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
And that's our episode for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us at the Conscious Leadership Podcast. I'm so excited. This next year, 2021, is going to be huge. We have so many guests that are coming on that you're going to love. I'm going to be doing some more solo casts and Om Therapy coaching. We have so many things rolling out for you. Retreats, another round of Ignite starting in May, another one starting at the end of the summer, a mastermind, and so many other things. So be sure to stay tuned with us on Instagram. Follow me at om_therapy_coaching, and stay tuned for so much goodness coming up. As always, I would love to hear your feedback. Head over to iTunes and leave us a review, and I would love to give you a free copy of my subconscious reprogramming workbook, and that is absolutely free. Just send me a screenshot of your review and on Instagram, and I will be so happy to send that over as my gift for you. And I am sending you so many hugs, so much love, and I hope that this week you are able to find just a little bit more joy in your life. Have a good one, guys.